Hi, good morning guys, thanks for joining me. Hope everybody's well, hope everybody's keeping warm. Absolutely freezing day today down here in the woods, hence the reason for getting all the winter clothes out. Just walking through this morning, I've just come through some larch woodland, very eerie in there, just all them needles have dropped now. Very bare, and when you walk through it it's quite dangerous, you can't actually see the hollows, but very nice indeed. So what I thought we'd do in today's video, just a little bit more about leather craft. I've had a few inquiries just about the leather work itself, and people have asked just about doing something a bit more simpler, just things that you don't need many tools with. So what I thought we'd do today is a nice round Tinder pouch. But before we just get into how we make the pouches, I've just put just a little bit of mink oil paste. I do like this Phoebe's mink oil paste, very good. It's not too expensive as well. So I just wanted just to waterproof and just condition the leather just prior to actually making the pouch. And that there should do. And when it comes to making these, they're very simple. Like I was saying, people are asking, to make something simple with very few tools, and in my opinion, this is probably one of the better things that you can make. So the leather itself is a nice piece of full grain leather. This is going to be very durable. This is going to last for years to come. And the beauty about these kind of pouches, you can pretty much use any kind of materials. When I was kids, we used to use things like denim jackets. We used to cut them up and make little pouches and that kind of thing. But when it comes to leather, you could use just the scraps just off old furniture, leather jackets, that kind of thing. And what you tend to find is the thinner the leather, just as long as it's going to be strong enough, will actually fold and gather just a little bit easier. But at the end of the day, I'm just looking for something which is a nice piece of leather and which is going to last for years and years. So like I say, very simple to make. I've actually just cut this prior to coming out. I didn't really want to carry the big glass bowl with me. And when it comes to measuring it, this one here is actually 11 inches in diameter. Some of the larger pouches go 15, 18 inches, something like that. And if you do cut a little circle out on about 11 inches, it's going to give us a nice sized pouch. Probably just palm size, something like that. But it's going to be big enough for putting tinders in and just some of the smaller objects. So as well as this piece of leather being a piece of full grain leather, it's what's referred to as waxy pull-up. And with this leather, if you actually just stretch it and put it under any kind of stress, as you can see there, it's actually changing colour. So after a while, this is going to look well worked in, it's going to look nice. So again, this is one of the reasons why I've picked this piece of leather. But like I've just mentioned, to actually use leather, you could use canvas, old pieces of material, anything like that. So I'm just going to quickly just mark it up, just so we can actually punch some holes in, and this is where the cord's going to be, just so that we can lace everything up. When it comes to doing that, you could, a couple of options. You can either just measure an inch in and just mark it all the way around an inch, or you can do what I'm going to do myself, just get a pair of wing dividers and actually just mark just a line on the inside there. Or again, you could just get a plate just a little bit smaller than the one which you've actually cut, and you could just actually use just the edge of the smaller plate and mark the markings that way. So when it comes to doing all the measuring, we're just going to do all this just on the back of the leather, obviously just so it's not just on the finished side. So we're just going to find the centre point, and like I say, in the bowl it's around about 11 inches, around about 10.5, something like that. And it's actually in between there, so 10 3/4. So like I say, just find the centre point. It's going to be 5 3/8. I do apologise if you're working centimetres and millimetres, but I'm sure you can easily just work that out just on the rule itself. So 5 3/8 just in, just checking there that we've got a border of around about an inch. So I'm just going to gently just make a very shallow light mark all the way around. This doesn't have to be too deep, it's just so I can have a reference point just where we're going to mark the holes. And then when it comes to marking the holes, I'm just going to use just a little permanent marker here. I'm just going to put one mark there, and then we're just going to go an inch and mark an inch all the way around and just place just another little mark. So once the leather's been marked up, it's just going to leave us just with them series of little dots there. So now it's just a case of just punching the leather out, and that's pretty much all the technical side done, all the measuring. From now on it's just a case of just putting everything together, constructing the pouch, you know, which is very simple. So the punch which I'm going to use is the same punch as which I've used on all the other little projects. That's just one of these little auto punches, very simple to use. Just put it down on one of the little marks, push it straight through. The bottom itself rotates and actually gathers the leather up in the punch here. So but just before we actually start punching the leather, I've just brought out here just a little bag, and inside here I've got various different kind of cordages. So it's just a case of just deciding what kind of cord it is that we want to use, just so we can actually size it up with the punch itself. I'm running alongside all the different kind of cordages. I've brought out just various different kind of toggles. Again, these are things which you can make yourself, or you can just pick them up second hand, or just recycle things. So what I've got here, a couple of toggles just off coats. You can actually buy them for around about 20 pence each. These are some kind of imitation bone. You can get them in white, you can get them in this brown colour. There's a nice wooden toggle there. You can also use something like one of these little ferro rods that you can buy. It's got a couple of small holes just drilled into it. Just means then you've got a spare ferro rod just with the Tinder pouch itself, if that's what you're going to use the pouch for. But for this little project, I'm just going to use just a little bit of deer antler. I do like the traditional look, with also another little piece of deer antler there, which is going to be the retaining button. And when it comes to the cordage, I've got various things like paracord. I've got some flat lace, some square lace, and also some round lace. So for this I might just go with the round lace. This 3mm lace itself is quite nice, and that's an antique leather, or you know, been made to look like an antique leather. So just prior to putting it through, like I say, I'm just going to put the holes in it. I'm just going to smear that with some of the mink oil, just get that waxed up, just give it a little bit of conditioning just prior to putting it in the pouch itself, because you can have a job once the pouch is actually made. And then, like I say, I'm just going to pair that up with one of these little deer antler little toggles there, and it should look quite nice. Okay, so that's the cordage now conditioned with the mink oil. That's just darkened the leather off just a little bit, just so it's going to suit and match just the pouch itself just a little bit better. It's also now made that nice and supple. It's also just given it just a little bit of water repellency, so at the end of the day it's going to last a lot longer. So we're just going to put that down to one side, just like that, soaking just a little bit longer, and then we're just going to make a start just punching these holes out. So when it comes to selecting the punch which we're going to use, it's quite simple. It's just a case of just getting the cordage which we're going to use, and then when you buy the punches, they do come with various amounts of different size punches. So it's just a case really of just getting the cord, just pushing it through, just checking that you can actually get it go through one of the holes. I don't want to make it too big, but obviously make them too small. That one there's quite a bit of room, so we'll leave that one. That one doesn't seem too bad. That one obviously too small. That one's not too bad. And that one there will be too small. So it's just a case of just picking just the two of those. And that one there is the small out of the two, so that's one we shall go with. It's just a case of just changing that out. And if you want to, prior to actually putting the hole just in the good piece of leather, I've got a scrap piece here which we're going to place just under the work anyway, so we can actually just punch just a quick hole just through, just to check the size of what it gives you. And that there goes through quite well. Not too much room, and it's not too tight. So once you've got the holes punched all the way through the leather, just like so, it's now just a case of just feeding the cordage through. So for that we're just going to put a point just through the feeding end. Just going to make it just a little bit easier, just get it through the holes themselves. Just like so, and then I'm just going to get myself nice and comfortable and just feed this all the way through the holes. But just starting off, you can either start from the front or the back. But what you want is roughly around about 4 to 5 inches of this cordage just coming through the good side, and that's what we're going to run the toggle up when it comes to cinch the pouch up. So we're just going to go all the way around, front and back, front and back. So once you've got the pouch laced up all the way around, it's just a case now of just getting the lengths of what you require just at the front. So just pulling on them both evenly, just so that you're going to get a nice amount of cordage either side. As you can see now, that pouch is starting to rock up. So all we've got to do is just cut ourselves just another little square piece of leather, which we're just going to slip just over the cordage. That way then it's just going to support, just give just a little bit more durability to the leather there, and just stop it from wearing where the toggle keeps hitting it. So once you've got that little tab of leather on, it's just a case now of attaching the toggles. Like I showed you at the beginning, there's all them different choices, but like I said, we're just going to go with this little bit of antler here. So it's just a case really of deciding which way you want it to go on. I think that way perhaps just looks just a little bit better. So we'll just feed that through. And then you've just got a little retaining button, just do the same on this side. So just give you a quick close look of what we've just done. We've just put the little leather tab on, we've then got the toggle itself, and then just in front of that we've just got the little button. And then all we're going to do is just open it all up just to see how far it expands, just work out the amount of cordage that we need, and then we can just tie a couple of knots in it, trim it off, and the pouch is made. And there we have the pouch pretty much complete. We just need to put just a few items in there just to see how they fit. But very simple to make. Like I say, you could use pretty much whatever stuff you want to recycle, or bits of leather, canvas, wherever it may be. Like I say, in the choice of toggles, you know, it's down to your own imagination really. So when it comes to fastening it up, it's just a case of just using the toggle just to cinch the pouch up itself, and that little button then just pushes forward and just stops just to lock the pouch itself, you know, pretty much shut. Like I say, for that 10 3/4 inch diameter, it just gives you a pouch, you know, around about the size of your hand. If you want to go bigger, obviously you're going to use more leather and cut out a larger circle in the first place. But for all the smaller items, that's a nice little size. Like I say, the thickness of the leather is just going to last for years and years. If you want to just reproof it and just keep that leather looking nice and keep it in good condition. So just to see what it will store, I've just put just in there just a piece of iron pyrite, just a few little bits of amadou, we've got some birch bark, a piece of flint, and a bit more amadou just on the bottom. So as you can see there, for a small little pouch, it does hold quite a bit of stuff. And if it is that you like your primitive fires, I'm sure, you know, these little pouches, you know, suit these kind of materials really well. It's aesthetically pleasing. It's also very functional and also very practical. So like I say, very quick to make, very easy to make. That one probably took, you know, moving the camera about, probably around about 45 minutes. I've had a couple of cups of tea just in that time as well, and the end result isn't too bad. So there we have it guys, just a quick little simple Tinder pouch. I hope that's helped the people out that asked about these kind of things, something, you know, easy to make without too many tools. And again, it's going to get used to using the leather, and at the end of the day you've got a nice functional little item to put in with your kit. And with these kind of things, the more that you use them, they will soften up, the leather will get softer. But these kind of things, if they do break, you know, you need to replace things. Again, very simple to do and very simple to maintain. So like always guys, I'd just leave and say thanks a lot for stopping by and watching the video. Like always, until next time, you take care and I'll see you again.